let's switch gears.
Yep.
Before
Speaking
we
of
run off the
bias,
rails.
let's get into our next segment.
Put together by our biased individual right here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So we sort of did something like this last week. I can't even. Oh, yeah. We ranked the top 10, top 5 fantasy players at each position. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're going to do something a little similar, not as long, but I'm going to bring my top 10 breakout players for the 2023 season. I think it's a perfect list, if you ask me. But have I ever done anything wrong ever? Nope.
All right. Let's get into your list.
Let's get into it. Okay. So, number 10, Jake Ferguson, tight end out of the Dallas Cowboys. I have him on this list. He's not a very well-known name. Some of you are probably thinking, who the hell is this man? He's now the starting tight end for the Cowboys. He was back up last year to Dalton Schultz, who is now no longer there. Okay. Dalton Schultz was one of the more underrated tight ends in the league last year. I think you could agree with that, even though your bias says no. Okay.
No, Dalton Schultz is a dog, and Ferguson was a good tight end too for them. So
yes,
I agree.
Yep. And we know that Dak loves his tight ends. He played with Jason Witten a little bit. It helped him pop in the league. Jason Witten had good seasons with him. Same thing with Dalton Schultz. So I think he's going to have a chance to be possibly the number 2 weapon on that offense. Reason being, we don't know what Brandon Cooks is going to be. Michael Gallup is always questionable. We don't know what we're getting from him. CeeDee Lamb obviously is going to be the number 1 guy. He's going to pop. Like I said in the fantasy video, I think he's going to be the number 3 fantasy receiver this year. And I also don't think their running game is going to be that great. You know what I mean? You lose Zeke, so you don't really have that thunder and lightning duo anymore. Deuce Vaughn has shown some good things at camp, but I'm not going to put my eggs in the 5-5 running back basket quite yet. So, yeah, Dak loves his tight ends. So I think he's got a real chance at making a jump. Whether it may not be huge. It might be a 800-yard season with maybe double-digit touchdowns, which is really good out of the tight end position. Yep, Jake Ferguson at 10. Number 9, I have Asante Samuel Jr., cornerback for the Chargers. The main reason he's on this list for me is because I think he's going to take like a James Bradbury type jump. Maybe not to that level, but I think J.C. Jackson only played 5 games last year. He's healthy. Okay.
Right.
Derwin James is healthy. That secondary is a lot better. He's going to be matched up with a lot of wide receiver 2s.
Right.
And it's going to look very good for him. And because you look around the league, a lot of these teams don't really have a 1-2 punch. Maybe you obviously have Tyreek and Waddle. You have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. You have AJ and Devontae. You've got some teams, but a lot of these 2s in the league aren't really much. So I think we could see Asante Samuel have a big year this year, especially with the improvements of defense. They're going to be healthier. I mean, could they have another Chargers season where everybody gets hurt? Yes, because it's in their blood. But you don't go into the season expecting a team to lose half their defense and offense. Right. I think they're going to be a lot better. The team's going to be a lot better. There's going to be more eyes on them, putting more eyes on Samuel. So I have him at number 9. And speaking of defensive guys, let's move on to number 8. I have Jeremy Chin. Reason being, he's a very underrated safety in the league right now. Yeah. And their secondary is one of the most underrated in the league. You have J.C. Horn, who has been probably a top 10 corner. He was last year, I think. Not a lot of talk about him because the team's bad. But they're one of these teams that has a chance to win that division. It's wide open. I think the Saints will, but who knows, right?
Yeah.
So he's one of the leaders on defense. He's going into his 3rd year. And again, he's going to have help from the secondary with J.C. Horn being healthy. C.J. Henderson on the other side, who was the top overall corner drafted in his draft class. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement in that safety position because you have reliable corners ahead of you. Yeah,
I would have him higher on this list.
Yeah,
I think he's bound for a Pro Bowl type season.
It's possible. It's certainly possible. I didn't put him any higher because it's very hard to judge if a safety's having a good year or not unless you're watching the games. You know what I mean? And a lot of these casual fans are going to be looking at stat sheets. If Jeremy Chin has 1 pick next year,
people
are going to be
this guy sucks.
This guy sucks, right?
But if they don't see him occupying space and forcing quarterbacks into tough reads, and the corners are getting the stats, that speaks for something.
All right, moving on to the offensive side of the ball. Little bit of a homer pick here, But I
That's
think
fine.
I have reasonings that are warranted. Elijah Vera Tucker at number 7. Reason being, he got hurt last year with torn ACL. He played, I want to say it was 6 games. I have to fact check it. It was either 5, 6, or 7. Didn't give up a sack. Didn't give up a pressure. I think he's going into a healthy year with Aaron Rodgers, who's really good at avoiding hits. I think the offensive line is going to be improved with Mekhi Becton losing weight coming back. That center we drafted, Joe Tippmann, looked incredible in the Hall of Fame game. Played the entire game, didn't give up one pressure. No one's really talking about it, but he was probably the star of our team during that game. Yeah. So I think with the offensive line being better, I think, again, there's going to be a lot of eyes on this team because of Aaron Rodgers being there. So there's going to be a lot more people looking into the team. And I think he's the best guy that we have on our offensive line right now. And I think he's really going to pop and maybe solidify himself as a top 5 guard in the NFL. Kind of like the Quentin Nelson jump. Now, maybe not to that level, but and part of the reason being too, I think half the battle is exposure for these guys. And if you look across the list, a lot of these teams are going to have all of these teams are going to have a lot of eyes. Even guys like Jeremy Chin, because of their rookie quarterback. There's going to be a lot of eyes on that team. Same thing with Nico Collins, who we'll get to at 3. Moving on, number 6, another defensive player, Jordan Brooks, linebacker for the Seahawks. I have him on this list. So last 2 seasons, he's been top 5 in tackles, right? Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people talk about him. I don't know why, because I think he's a hell of a linebacker. I think the Seahawks defense is going to be a lot better next year. You have Tariq Woolen going into year 2. You draft Devon Witherspoon as a secondary corner who, from everything I'm hearing, he could be a guy, a real guy. They upgraded at edge. They re-signed Uchenna Nwasu. Their offense got better. So I think Jordan Brooks, he's one of those guys, like, you know how in the NBA, they give the most improved to a guy that goes from like a semi-star to a superstar? Yeah. I think that's the kind of jump that Jordan Brooks is going to take. I think he solidifies himself as a top linebacker in the NFL. Because outside of Fred Warner, like, who are we looking at around the league and saying, wow, that guy can do it all? No one really. The linebacker, especially like off-ball linebackers, there's not many in the league right now that are doing what Luke Kuechly did and Bobby Wagner used to do. Right. Things like that. So
right. You think of elite off-ball linebackers, you think of Micah Parsons, Hassan Reddick. You don't really think of Jordan Brooks, and he's a guy that is severely under the radar. And, you know, the Seahawks defense as a whole is just under the radar. They're sneaky. They're a sneaky good team. Mm-hmm. So he definitely could be a cog in the system that is a big reason why they are good this year. So I like it.
Moving on, popular guy here, Travis Etienne, 3rd-year player, running back for the Jags. I put him on this list because I think he's going to elevate himself in the receiving game. I think that he's going to get more opportunities running the ball because I read an article that Travis Etienne, Doug Peterson plans on running him 300 times this season. Last year, he only got 225 carries.
Yeah.
So if he only really needs 400 extra yards to almost be an all-pro and be a guy that's going to be a Pro Bowl back. He's super young. He's had limited carries his whole career, like high school, collegiate, and in the NFL. So he doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires. He had that injury in his rookie year. But outside of that, he's been healthy. He hasn't had a lot of carries. He's going to be a better version of Tony Pollard. Same kind of style of runner. But yeah, I think he, again, another guy that can solidify himself as a top back in the NFL, especially with all. And it doesn't take much for running backs to fall off. So if Travis Etienne has a great season, makes a jump, which I think he will, that's why I have him number 5 on this list. Could be a guy that runs for 1,500 and 10 tuds this year. Moving on, I know you're going to be happy about this. At number 4, I have running back DeAndre Swift, traded to the Eagles this offseason. You know how I feel. I think Rashad Penny should be the one, but I don't think it's going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. He should. In my eyes, he should be because he's
probably the best pure runner we have on the roster.
He's one of the best pure runners in the league.
I know. That's what I'm saying. On our roster, one of the best pure runners we got to offer. Yeah. But DeAndre Swift just does more.
He does. He does
overall.
More. When he was with the Lions, it wasn't that great of a show. They didn't have a good offensive line. Matt Stafford was struggling a little bit there. They didn't really have any wide receiver talent, so there really wasn't anything else but him. So on this Eagles offense, you think about the RPO options, you think about the incredible offensive line. No team can stack the box against the Eagles because you have those elite wide receivers out there. Kind of like what, yes.
And Jalen.
And Jalen, of course. So there's a lot. It's pick your poison. And I think looking at it, if they want to let one guy beat them, it's DeAndre Swift. And he's talented enough to do so. He's going to have a jump in his yardage. His yards per carry is going to go up. He's going to get more catches, and he's going to have a really good all-around season. So, again, it's same reasons for Travis Etienne. So, yeah, I have him at 4 for that reason. Moving on, number 3, wide receiver for the Texans, Nico Collins. Most of you probably never heard of this guy that are watching. Wide receiver. Yeah, you've never heard of Nico Collins.
I can't lie. No.
All right. So he was their wide receiver 3 last year behind Brandon Cooks and their tight end. I forget his name. Their tight end was their second most targeted guy. But so looking at the Texans offense, you upgrade at quarterback from Davis Mills to CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's going to be looking for a guy. That's what the rookie quarterbacks do. They find a guy and they use him to the best of their ability. Nico Collins has the potential to have his first 1,000-yard receiving year this year. Last year, he only put up 400 yards. So reason being, him being on this list is I think he can easily double that. Easily. You lose Brandon Cooks, okay? Your running game's okay. I'm not a huge Damian Pierce guy. I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 because I don't think CJ Stroud's going to be looking at Robert Woods as their number 1. He's aging. He hasn't been good in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just wait. You'll be hearing a lot about Nico Collins this season. All right. Number 2, this one's kind of a curveball. I have tight end Adam Troutman, formerly of the Saints. He's now on the Broncos. So we all assume that the Broncos offense is going to be a hell of a lot better this year. Okay. They lost Melvin Gordon in the running game. So they're still down to Javonte Williams as their certified 1, which is good. He had a really good start to his career last year. Okay.
Right.
The addition of Sean Payton, we've talked about it before. Everybody in the media talks about it. I think Sean Payton's going to be really big for Russell Wilson, but not just him, but for Adam Troutman. So you look back at some of those Saints teams with Sean Payton, Jimmy Graham, you look at what they did together in that system as a tight end was incredible. Really, really good in the red zone. And Adam Troutman was underrated for the Saints last year.
Yeah.
Underrated guy, didn't get the yardage. He may not even get the yardage this year because you got guys like Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Cortland Sutton. Those guys need a lot of targets. But as
KJ Hamler is not there anymore.
Oh yeah, not KJ Hamler. The other one. The other young receiver. There's another one. You know what I'm talking. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying. They got a lot of receivers that need the ball. But as a red zone threat, they really don't have anything outside of Troutman. Right. So I think this is a guy that could put up double-digit touchdowns for them. We'll probably have a couple multiple touchdown games. And Sean Payton utilizes the tight ends, and so did Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Well, again, with Jimmy Graham. So
yeah.
Yep. I think this is a real sleeper. He might be a guy I pick up in fantasy, low-key.
Yeah, like a waiver wire snipe.
Yeah, waiver guy as a backup tight end, see what he does the first couple weeks. Because if you don't get your hands on Kelsey, Goddard, Andrews, or Waller, or Kittle, you're screwed at tight end. Basically. So you got to pick somebody up that you think has potential. I think Adam Troutman really does this year. All right, getting into number 1, Justin Ross, wide receiver out of the Chiefs. Okay, I have him on this list for 2 reasons only. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. They're not my only reasons, but those are the main ones. Patrick Mahomes makes everybody work. And if you have the slimmest bit of talent, you're going to succeed in this offense. You lose Juju. Sky Moore's questionable. MVS is okay. He's probably never going to get better than he is now. He's got a chance to sort of take on a Victor Cruz route. Undrafted guy, get a little bit of run in the preseason, a little bit of run in the early weeks, and then explode. Keep in mind, before Justin Ross had his off-the-field issues, he was the number 1 ranked tight end in the country. I mean, number 1 ranked wide receiver in the country. That's over Justin Jefferson. Okay? That's over guys like that. The off the field stuff is gone. You have the best quarterback that has ever laced them up. You have one of the best coaches that has ever not laced them up. You have the best head coach that's ever eaten a cheeseburger. So I think Justin Ross could absolutely explode onto the scene and start his career off incredible. There's so much opportunity in that wide receiver room. There's so much.
You have a bunch of young guys and some uncertainty, not really like bad uncertainty, but
no.
You don't really know who the number one is gonna be that emerges out of that room. I mean, you got a bunch of guys that are young and talented.
Yep.
Who's gonna take the bull by the horns? Exactly. He could be one of those dudes. I mean, he's had a stellar camp.
Incredible.
So, it's a good list. I like it. I think you have a good mix of guys.
I do.
I
could have gone all offense, which I was originally going to do, but
no, I like that you have some offense, some defense.
Mm-hmm. Did I convince you? Him being at 1? Did I convince
kind of? I really don't care.
Whatever, bro.
It's your list.
You sleep, okay? You sleep. These men here are all going to have breakout seasons. I guarantee.
That's fine. I only care about one having a breakout season, and that's
Quez Watkins.